These videos are hosted on a YouTube account called Conference Report, and they refer to, at least in the blurb on the side, if I haven't changed the layout of my page, that side is over here. There is some writing which also refers to a blog, or a number of blogs, also called the Conference Report. And I thought it might be quite useful just to draw some lines around why that's the case, really. Why it's a conference report. There's really two trajectories into that idea. The first is to do with, what a conference is. I'm specifically talking about academic conferences here, which I've been to quite a few of, in which a group of people working within a particular domain of practice or a particular domain of knowledge come together to exchange ideas. And the typical format, of course, is that one person who is carrying out some relevant research in a particular area will stand in front of a group of other people who also have some sort of investment in that area and will convey that information. And there's something about that spatial relationship which in many ways I think typifies a kind of approach to knowledge which is encapsulated within the academic conference. The knowledge is located, almost triangulated really, at the intersection of the gaze of all these audience members, pinned down and accurately mapped to that particular site, which of course is inside the person of the speaker. So it starts to configure knowledge in that sense as, in the way that I've talked about objectivity in the past, it places it within a formally negotiated interpersonal space. An interpersonal space which is, as I say, triangulated by the various literal viewpoints of the speakers and made coherent, hopefully, and given objective status by that fixed location in interpersonal space. So that's one of the senses in which I'm thinking about conference report as a sort of knowledge confirming process. The other one is, and again this is referred to in the writing at the side here, is a poem by the poet Attar, Ibn al-Attar, I think, called The Conference of the Birds, or sometimes The Parliament of the Birds, but I'm staying with Conference of the Birds because it fits my scheme better, which tells the story of a group of birds who set out on this journey, led by the hoopoe, to get to this certain place where ultimate knowledge can be found. It's a kind of enlightenment journey, I suppose, but I'm interpreting that as a special sort of knowledge acquisition process. So in a sense, it's almost as if they are going en masse to this conference, to some conference somewhere. And various things happen to them en route, and some birds drift off and decide not to continue, and they have various conversations and tell their stories and so on. And when they get to where they're going, there's nothing there. In fact, I think a certain number of birds make it to the end point. I think it's 32 birds make it to the end point. And the name of the place that they arrive at translates as 32 birds. So in a sense they get there and they find themselves. That's what's waiting for them at the end of their journey. And why I like that, it's very interesting to the idea of finding oneself at the end of the journey, but that's not really where I'm going with this. I'm more interested in the fact that in that story, knowledge is not configured is critiqued as an endpoint. The idea that knowledge is an endpoint that you reach, or that you can stand in front of and triangulate, is critiqued, and it's replayed as a kind of performative process, or a journeying process. The setting out on the journey, the moving through space to get to the end point, was the knowledge. So so in trying to embrace both those understandings, knowledge as considered as an object within the sight lines of an interpersonal spatializing process, set against knowledge as a trajectory, a sort of orthopractic ambulatory process, a verb as opposed to a noun. In setting those two things against each other, I'm just sort of inquiring about the nature of epistemology, really. That's sort of where I'm going with this. And how that nature lends itself to different understandings within those different configurations. And that's, of course, I guess, why I'm doing these things on the hoof. I'm never quite arriving at that conference. Or maybe I'm already there. It's purely coincidental that I always seem to get bird noises in these things. Just happen to set off walking my dogs in the morning and stop the birds around.